Hey Mark, how are you?
I'm okay, Cam. How you doing?
Good stuff. Yeah, let's kick off with the essential stuff that our producer Joel always asks us to do.
Indeed, we have a Patreon page, everyone. Please do sign up to it. It's only £2.50 for the month. So it's really good price. You get early access to our episodes plus a shout out at the end of each episode. So yeah, do check it out.
We're going to go straight in with some of the photography news headlines that caught our eye from in the photography world. And
Yes.
might want to kick off with the first one. Okay, so Sony again claims the number one spot in the mirrorless camera market.
Okay, this is according to Sony, of course.
Right, yes. Yeah, in Sony's 2024 corporate report.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it is worth noting though. They did. They did make this a similar claim back in 2022, but Canon said that it was the number one digital camera company, and led by mirrorless sales too. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think this is a bit of propaganda shenanigans from Sony, or do you think they're on the money?
It's difficult to say. I mean, it, there's got to be factual information, isn't there? If
Yeah,
somebody disputes it, I mean, it does say, clearly according to their reports,
yeah,
that yeah, and look, we're not doubting it. We're saying it might well be true.
yeah.
But it goes on to say that Sony notes that its lenses are more profitable business than its interchangeable lens cameras.
Well, that kind of makes
Okay.
sense to be honest, because for each person who has like a body, an SLR body or a mirrorless body, you're going to have at least two lenses, I reckon. One, maybe two lenses. I mean, how many lenses have you got for your Sonys?
Oh well, we use it for video,
Yeah,
so we've got several.
yeah. Well, there
Should
you
we say? I
go.
don't know how many. Yeah, yeah. So, but as I said, we don't use them for photography. Use them for
Mm,
video, so different needs. But yeah, I mean, it's that it's not really surprising. It says Sony touched on its image sensor business, which is related to but separate from its camera business. Sony made image sensors used by a diverse range of cameras and smartphones, and have 53% of the global market share. And now that's interesting because a lot of people don't
yeah.
realize that they might have a different camera brand, but it may well have a Sony sensor.
Yeah, well,
Um,
yeah, quite. I mean, Sony have always been doing things like that. I mean, Sony make their own lenses now, don't they? It's not made by
yeah,
anybody else. Because I
yeah,
remember back in the days with their point and shoots, and I think we mentioned this before. Their cyber shots. I think they were called cyber shots. The Sony's.
yeah,
They all had a Carl Zeiss lens, and that was like a big advertising point of their camera. Um,
yeah.
so
I,
yeah.
Yeah, and my experience of Sony, I've had good, the experience for video at least has been really good. And in actual fact,
Mm.
mentioned it in recent episodes that the A7 IV that I bought recently to replace one of the A7 IIIs that we had. However, we are having a bit of a problem with it in that it tends to
Oh.
overheat. So, and it's
Oh.
something that I do would like to speak to Sony about because I didn't think that that was going to be the case.
Mm.
Something interesting that does come up in their report, Mark, does say that Sony says that sports is an area of potential growth related to the company's broader imaging technology.
Mm.
And it says Sony's proprietary Hawkeye video technology is used for 70% of global football leagues. And
Wow.
Sony tech is being rolled out in other sports leagues, including the NFL. So,
Wow. Wow. There's a big market
and
there. Who
yeah,
does
and
Who does Hawkeye for Wimbledon? Is that the Sony one?
Oh, I don't
That's,
know, but
yeah.
if you watch sports TV, then sorry, if you watch any sports on TV, I mean the coverage is just getting better and better.
Yeah. Yeah.
The camera quality is getting better. So anyway, so if it is true, well done, well done, Sony for
Well
being
done,
the
Sony.
yeah, well
Yes.
done.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so moving on. Another news was there has been a record broken, Cam.
Hmm, that's
Yes,
there.
yes. So, looking at, we got this information from Euronews. Belgian photographer and Austrian free driver set new record for deepest underwater shoot. Now, this
Hmm.
underwater shoot went to the depth of 45.4 meters to break the world record for the deepest underwater photo shoot. Now, that's impressive, isn't it?
That is pretty
Um,
deep, yeah.
so yeah, it says here. So going from special forces operator to underwater model photographer is an unusual, if not unique, career path. Yeah, indeed. Philip Blomert, I don't know if I've pronounced that right, but however, strives continuously to push boundaries by merging the extreme with the artistic. Seeking out new challenges is the story of my life, he says. The military diver explains that the idea of breaking the world record was born during a recent trip to the Philippines, where he was taking photos with Alessa Zunichi, again, hopefully I've pronounced that right, an Italian freediver who holds the freediving world record for women at 123 meters. So you've got a couple of professionals here who really know what they're doing. So
that's right.
I get the impression this is a I don't try this at home sort of thing.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, I was just looking to see where it was actually shot, and it says, and this is quite interesting actually. It was shot in Warsaw, in Poland, at Deep Spot, which is Europe's deepest diving centre.
Right.
And that's I didn't know they had that there. Not that I know anything about diving or anything like that at all. But I know there are a lot of photographers are really interested in underwater photography just as much as they are in sort of space photography and all of that, interesting story. We'll put the links out, and it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I mean, just before we move on, what do you think to underwater photography generally? I mean, I see it happening more and more, but do you reckon it's ever going to sort of really break the mainstream? Because obviously, I don't know.
It comes down to technology. Yeah. I remember when we were at the last photography show. Do you remember we chatted to a photographer that had the underwater covers for our cameras?
Oh, yes. I mean, just to clarify my question, I understand sort of wildlife photography and deep dives in that way. That's all over the place. I'm talking about this sort of thing, like fashion photography. Shoot. Yeah, fashion shoot and models down it. Because we know a couple of photographers that do it. Al Scarlett's been on our podcast talking about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, is this, I don't know, is it ever going to break through? I don't know. What do you reckon?
Well,
what has it?
A lot of people aren't going to like me for the comment I'm about to make. Okay. All right. Okay. But okay, there is a picture of Philip, the photographer, and while he's doing this shoot, and it looks like a pretty good setup, a pretty time intensive setup. Looking at the pictures, they might just be sort of, I don't like to use the word snaps, but just, images are provided for the sake of the article. They look all right. Okay, I'm not going to say they look amazing. Yes, the fact they've been underwater, but do you really need to go underwater to create? You can create the effect, can't you, through image editing, can't you?
Well, this was my point. I mean, it's kind of like
I'm sorry I said that. You can fake it, basically. Yeah, okay.
I mean, well, the fake it aside, but I mean, if there's a particular reason, I don't know. If it's just to do with artistry, I'm sure there's a whole load of reasons why it's been done.
For research, I get it. If you're going to do a fashion shoot, and then
a fashion shoot underwater, I don't understand why you'd need a fashion shoot underwater. But
that's right. Yeah. But seeing new things like this are important. It's good to see.
Absolutely.
Stuff like this.
Oh yeah.
But it makes me think.
I'm not dissing it in any way.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the images here, and to me, it looks like it could have. Why go to that extent? You could have done it on a green screen or something. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be so dismissive of it.
Well, look, they broke a world record, and I'm guessing, why'd you climb that mountain? Because it's there. I guess there's an element of that as well. Why not? Let's give it a go. But yeah, it was just an interesting question. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. BBC News were reporting a widow's battle for wedding photos on iPhone, and it says a man whose wife died suddenly is unable to recover precious photos of their wedding from her phone in time for her funeral. Martin Hall cannot access the iPhone that belonged to his wife because he does not know the passcode. It says Apple's privacy rules mean the contents would be wiped if the code was reset. And Apple says it considers privacy a fundamental human right. It's the one issue that I can't sort out, and I just feel like I'm getting hit my head against an absolute brick wall, Martin said. And he's from Anglesey here in the UK. And it says that his wife, Lynn, died unexpectedly earlier this month following a brain hemorrhage, and he had no trouble contacting banks and other companies she held accounts with. When it came to his 70-year-old wife's phone, which contains photos of their wedding 6 years ago and holidays together, things were less straightforward. It was either Face ID or passcode to open her phone, he said. And obviously I couldn't do Face ID, so it was a question of having a passcode. And it said because Lynn had also used a phone for work, he'd never known her code.
Yeah.
And he said all we wanted to do was do a slideshow at the funeral, and he just wants to access the photos, but
Yeah.
he can't.
Yeah. It's a tough one, this, isn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
the poor guy, all he wants is those photos. I think this is a lesson for all of us, because share those photos, with your loved ones. I think that there's definitely a shout here to, take it away from your phone. Just don't have it on your phone. Have it on a hard drive as well. Back it up, because to lose those pictures will be heartbreaking. And this has been an ongoing thing with Apple, I think. We mentioned this before as well. I think Bruce Willis had some argument with Apple about who owns the songs he bought through iTunes when he died, or something like that, and he wanted to pass it on to his next of kin. And Apple was saying, no, you can't do that. So this has been I can't remember the ins and outs of that one, but I know this isn't a new thing. But it is, I think Apple need to sort it out as well with this kind of stuff, because, and I can't, I know we're focusing on Apple at the moment. I'm sure Samsung and the other phone manufacturers
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
But if Alan could access bank accounts of his late wife,
Yeah.
then surely he should be able to access her phone. Yeah,
exactly. That's right. Yeah. So let's hope that let's hope he finds a way around it, and
I really hope so.
Does get sorted. But I guess it's easy, lessons in hindsight and all of that.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people have their phone photos automatically backed up on cloud anyway, don't they?
They do.
So it's making sure that share those passcodes and passwords. Because there's more and more in just life in general. We all live with passwords and passcodes.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you share those with the people that you need to, just in case of emergencies, and store them somewhere safe.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. So moving on to the next one. So this is a horrible story, really. I don't like this, but I mean, we need to get. So man faces prison for using secret rock camera to film 1,000 plus bathing women. So a Japanese court has indicted a man who went to extreme elaborate lengths to film hundreds of bathing women secretly. In both photography and video recording in the field, there are always issues involving consent and respecting privacy of third parties. But and that's for both amateurs and professional, really. But in this case, well, he's just a wrong in this guy, as far as I can see.
He's a 31-year-old Japanese man.
Yeah. Yes, 31 Japanese man who's discovered having spent an undefined but extensive period of time secretly recording photos and video of over 1,000 women as they bathe and change clothes at a hot spring at the Yagamata Prefecture in Japan. So he basically hid a camera inside a rock. And it was found accidentally. Apparently, the lens glistened against the sunlight, and the woman found it. And apparently, he'd been walking around disguised as a hiker, taking photos and things, because he was also doing it with his zoom lens as well. So yeah, not a very nice man. I'm glad he's been caught. I'm glad they're not mentioning his name, because I don't really want to give him any notoriety. But yeah. What
I mean, this.
What a penis, basically.
I mean, this stuff goes on, doesn't it? It's just, and it will always go on. There are a certain type of people that, will do, unpleasant things like this. And, but yeah, let's move on to.
But the problem I have with this kind of thing, obviously, there's the obvious issue with it. It's a horrible thing to do, but it actually then, it really makes it difficult for people who are actually doing sort of documentary work in the street. It makes it difficult for people to take photos for, I don't know, a project of some description, documentary style, whether it's street photography. It makes it more difficult for those people, because people will now assume that they're doing something wrong because of people like this. And boils my blood. It really does, because actually there is a lot of photographers out there who are just observing, taking photos in the street, doing it for, like I say, an artistic reason, or for maybe a project for the local council or something like that. And those people will get grief from the general public because of people like this. It really annoys me.
What makes it worse is the more you read this, the worse it gets, because it says the rock camera was a static construction made of plastic and clay and crafted to look very inconspicuous unless closely examined. Its voyeuristic owner had also wrapped the camera's cable in brown tape and connected it to a concealed portable power pack, of which they show a photo. Now, there is this fake rock, and it's got a USB lead coming out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Next to what looks like a portable storage drive or something. So it's all very carefully calculated. He made this. He did this. He knew exactly what he was doing. It wasn't some guy, some opportunist that came along and was just doing some pictures and then got caught doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
No.
This guy got caught doing something he shouldn't be doing, but it was premeditated.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, this is where it, people see people with a camera. I remember going in COVID, and I was walking around with my camera, and we were in lockdown, and I was not far from home, and I was taking some pictures under a tree. And this sounds really crazy, okay?
Yeah.
I was taking some pictures under a tree with my camera, and somebody drove by, would you believe, and shouted out something like "pervert," okay? Yeah. And I thought, what? Because I had a camera and I was standing under a tree taking a picture. It was just one of those stupid situations. But it's these sort of stories that do this, isn't it?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
I can believe that. Still remember that. So anyway, next, let's move on to the next one.
Yes, a bit of gear news, isn't it?
It's a bit of gear news. We're all like a little bit of gear, a little bit of tech, and this is on Canon. And Canon's Speedlight, a new hybrid speedlight is on the way. And what do we mean by a hybrid speedlight?
I don't know, Cam, but I'm sure you're going to tell us.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Canon had their speedlight. Is the EL1? Have you got the EL1 speedlight? Is that the one that you've got?
No,
you've got a Canon, and I've got a I can't remember what it is now.
Oh yeah, well, you got a Godox thing, haven't you?
Yeah, Godox. That's it. Yeah.
No, mine's like the 650 or 800 EX something or other. I mean, they've got so many bloody numbers on these things. I lose track.
Yeah, I know.
All I know is an expensive one, but I don't think it was the flagship.
Yeah. Mine was a freebie, if you remember, given me very kindly by the photography company at the Southwest. Can't remember the name of the company now, the retailer. It will come to me. Anyway, so Canon Speedlight, it's
a Godox. Oh yeah, that's why you bought the Godox.
Wasn't Camera World. No? I can't remember the name of the company. I should have mentioned it. Anyway, as you probably know, it says the flagship Speedlight EL1 was discontinued by Canon. There's no longer a flagship Speedlight in the Canon lineup, and that's really because there's so many other brands out there like Godox, Pixapro. They make great speedlights, so I think maybe they're not just going down the route of saying that they're having a flagship speedlight for Nikon or Canon, whatever. Anyway, so Canon may soon announce, it says, a hybrid speedlight that could be a new flagship. It's not been confirmed. It says that being a hybrid, it will mean that it not only can be used for photography and flash, but it can be used as a video light as well. This is where the hybrid comes in.
Okay.
And how useful it's going to be, I don't know. How good it's going to be, we don't know, because it's only rumored. This may not actually be true, but it's the new hybrid speedlight. I'd certainly be interested in it because shooting video, and if it doubles up, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway. I mean, it also says here hybrid means that there will also be a video light on the speedlight. However, we're told it's more of a gimmick, than actually something that's useful. So, I'd imagine a light from a small source like that wouldn't be particularly great for video anyway, would it? I mean,
no, because I've got something similar. And I tend to the cameras that we've got and the lenses we've got means that we can shoot video in very low light, which is great, which is what you want to do rather than putting a light right in someone's face. So, but something, so it could be something, it could be nothing. So we'll wait and see.
Okay. Well, we're moving swiftly on. So Snapchat's been in the news. Okay, so when we're doing a wedding or something, we do mess about with some of these selfie. It's about it's a selfie game thing, isn't it? So you take a picture and you put the silly filter on, and it makes it look like we're crying or laughing or and it's all fun and games, isn't it? And it's something that we all do. But Snapchat is one of these, and it says Snapchat's My Selfie feature uses your face in adverts. So this is another sort of example of, as an app user, you're not the user, really. You are the product. And that's basically what's going on here. So this is, I've forgotten where we got. So this is from shotkit.com. So if you're a Snapchat user, you might want to be aware of this, it says. The company has reserved the right to put users' faces on ads and sponsored content. The mechanism behind this claim to your face as Snapchat's user in feature known as My Selfie, formerly known as AI Selfie. So basically, there's this app on Snapchat, which basically means you can take these selfies, have lots of silly things done to it, and it's all fun and games, but they can use that content that you create for adverts. And it isn't the T's and C's, it's deeply buried in the fine print. But again, like I said, this is a classic example of you are the product, not the user. So if you're using this and you're using it for the selfie, the selfie filters and all that, you could see yourself on an advert.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way the world is going, and where we all want our privacy in a world where we've been never been so open to not having our privacy. And the fact is, in my opinion, that if we are using a phone, and we use a phone a lot, and we're taking pictures and we're on social media and we agree to cookies, we all do all of that, there's very little control that we've got. And we can all get on our high horse and say, I'm not having that. How dare they do all that? Thing is, don't use it. Okay, because if that's their agreement, there's nothing that you can do about it, right or wrong. It's a company that have put that in place and said, we're going to do this. And we are within our rights to say, okay, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. Put yourself into that situation, and that's what's going to happen. So my opinion is, if it happens to you, don't complain about it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's just a company doing their thing. It's just them doing their thing.
I mean, to be fair, I think I was just reading on here, and 404 Media, which I think is where this has all come from. This is what we've got. Reached out to Snapchat, and a company representative explained to their website that you are correct that our terms do reserve the right in the future to offer advertising based on My Selfies, which is a Snapchat can see themselves in a generated image delivered to them. However, the spokesman adds Snapchat has full control over this. You can turn this on and off in My Selfie settings at any time if you know about it.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like anything though, isn't it? It's in the terms and conditions somewhere. Yeah. So we could say you should make it clear. But the thing is we can all use that excuse, can't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they do it. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say I'm sure they all do it. I mean, the content you put up there isn't your own. It belongs to them, and that's why it's free.
And the last thing, just reading in the story there, it says basically what I was saying. It says, if you're uncomfortable with all of this, you might just want to avoid fun, quirky AI tools that request your selfie, other photos, or other personal information. Exactly. Yeah, just avoid it. Don't go on social media. So
well, that ain't happening.
That ain't happening, right? But don't take photos of yourself and post them. You don't need. Do you need to? A lot of people do, obviously.
It's just a question of being aware. I mean, with the T's and C's, we all just skip past them and press accept. We were talking about Apple earlier, weren't we, with photos and things? It's similar sort of thing. Who owns it and how do you access it? And it's just something that we've all got to be aware of. Continue using it. If you don't mind your information being used, then just carry on. If you have issues with it, then maybe not use it.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, Mark, we're going to finish off the
well, then we got one more. We got one more, Cam. We have one more, and it's just a quick one. So there's a competition by Leica, and we don't have to talk about this phrase, but I think it's a really good thing here. So
do you?
I do, yeah. I think it's really good.
I don't know. I don't know whether I've got a bit of an issue over it.
Oh, really?
That's
What?
right. Yeah, because
Okay, go on.
it's the Leica Women Photo Project. Leica
Yeah,
has officially opened submissions for the sixth edition of the Leica Women Photo Project, an annual photography contest aimed at elevating the voices and the work of women photographers.
yeah.
And now I'm just scrolling through this, okay, and I see that somebody has made a comment, and I've seen the comments. You learn a lot from comments people make. It says, "Do you
Yeah.
have to be a woman or just identify as a woman?"
Oh, I don't really want to get into that argument, to be
No,
honest.
no, we won't. However, do you think it's good that it's a women only
Okay, so
competition?
I understand what you're saying here.
Hmm,
I wish there wasn't the need for it. I think there is a need
exactly.
for it. I think you know, I think it's getting better. I think women are still underrepresented in the photography industry. I think you just got to look at all the photographers we have on the graduation circuit, right? How many of them are women? Not many. Um, so I'd like to think that things like this are, they call it positive discrimination, don't they? I wish we didn't need to do it, but we do.
Hmm,
But
but we do.
also,
Yep.
actually, there's another side to it as well, where, the woman's point of view is very different to a man's point of view, and it does tell a different story. So, no, I think in all, I am in favor for it. And I think it is, I mean, to be fair, it's a wonderful competition. So I'll just read out
It's
about it.
Leica.
Well, it is like you should be all over this guy.
I should be. That's why
So
I can't.
I know. Is that why you're a bit annoyed because you don't
Don't
have
meet the.
you don't meet the criteria to win a Leica
I,
camera? I
I
think that's
could have. I could have used my James Bond camera, couldn't I, for this?
oh,
My
you could
James
have done.
Bond Leica camera,
So let me just go through
or the Lenny Kravitz model for that.
the Lenny Kravitz model or the Kevlar model. I mean, yeah, okay. So so we found this
Anyway,
on F Stoppers. So Leica has officially opened submissions for the sixth edition of the Leica Woman Photo Project, an annual photography contest aimed at elevating the voices and work of women photographers. And I actually think that's a really good thing to do. In the 2025 theme, Unity Through Diversity encourages participants to explore and showcase the power of human connection. The project aligns with Leica's mission to push the boundaries of visual storytelling while supporting diversity and amplifying what does that say? Underrepresented voices. Yeah, so basically that's. But check this out, right? So this is the competition will be judged by a panel of prominent women in photography and creative industries. This year's jury includes actress Nikki Reed, filmmaker and entrepreneur Catherine Boyd Brolin, photography Mary McCartney, and Karen Kaufman, director of Leica Galleries Worldwide. Kaufman, representing Leica, is available for interviews to discuss the global impact of the project and highlighting the achievements of its winners. But let's go on to one of the most important parts of this, shall we? And that is the prize. Right. Let's have a look at what people will be winning. So the winners. So it's winners. So there's it's not one winner. There's several winners. I don't know how many. It just says the winners of the 2025 Leica Woman Photo Project will each receive a Leica SL3 camera, Vario Elmarit SL 2470 lens. Can you guess the f-stop of that lens, judging on what we were speaking about last week?
oh, it's got to be, I reckon, 1.4.
No, it's f2.8 cam.
Yes, of course, yes.
So yeah, so it's a 2 point. So I mean,
a week is a long time, Mark.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Time,
It's lovely. Okay, so it comes with that lens and $10,000 cash prize to further their work. Submissions will be judged on the quality of photography, depth of the project, and a commitment to the art of photography. Directors from leading institutions such as Aperture, ICP, The Times, and The Washington Post will also evaluate the submissions. Now, call for entries has opened already. So it's opened a few days ago on the 17th of September and will close on November the 5th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So you might want to check what that is as far as we're concerned. Submissions are accepted from photographers in the US, UK, Mexico, and Canada. And the winners will be announced on International Women's Day on the 8th of March 2025. So we will put a submission link on there. If you hear about it from here, you'll check out the show notes and we'll put that submission link there. Check it out. If you've got to be in it to win it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
It's
great
definitely worth
opportunity.
giving that a go. Great opportunity.
Great
Yeah.
prize. Okay, Mark, that wraps up our the news that caught our eye
Yeah, it's
for
a
this
hefty one,
episode.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, we're going to grab a drink and then we're going to talk about something that I think all photographers are perhaps a little bit fearful and apprehensive of. Okay, right, Mark. I was doing a little bit of research on something that, and it was to do with my SD cards, and it was to do with reformatting them, deleting pictures, and while I was doing it, I wanted to do a little bit of research on it, and I came across a news story, and which was on f-stoppers, and it says that SanDisk's new Serious SD card for extreme outdoor photographers. It looks like it says here that SanDisk are going to release a series of new, it says the outdoor series cards.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Available both in SD and micro SD. And so these are some of the latest tech for strong, durable memory cards. They look very nice. Lovely orange and blue, or sort of a yellow blue. Look very nice, goldy blue actually. And it just says that they're very durable in conditions and all of that. Okay. Now, in actual fact, it's not the cards I wanted to talk about. Okay. But this does sort of relate to it. Okay.
All right.
In that, with the work that we do, Mark, we deal with a lot of memory cards. And let's just take the graduations alone as an example. I can walk away with, I might walk away with something like 20, maybe even 30 memory cards, from shoots have been taken on various days to download, sort out, file, do all of that. Okay. If we shoot a wedding and we're shooting photography and video, we're making sure that when we shoot and we leave any sort of shoot, whatever type of shoot it is that because all the cameras that we use have got dual memory cards, that the cards, we've got 2 cards in each camera, and those cards from each camera go in different directions. So one person will walk away with one set of cards and go wherever that person's going, whether it's home, and the other person is going to take them the backup cards in a different direction, because then we know that.
So it will increase the safety, doesn't it? Of it
increases the safety as well, in case somebody loses them or for whatever reason or something happens. However, we get to a point, don't we, where our memory cards get full, and we have to delete the images on there and format the SD cards, micro SD cards, XQD cards,
whatever the cards,
whatever the cards are. Okay, we all have to get the point. Now, I don't know about you, right? But I always do it with a bit of apprehension. That I'm about to delete the cards. I'm about to back them up. No, I'm about to delete the cards. I'm going to format them, and I'm thinking to myself, have I got these backed up? Oh, if I delete these, what shall I do? I know that they've been backed up. At least twice. Okay. And they've not only been backed up twice, they've been backed up. The 2 backups I've got of everything are on 2 different sites. Those 2 different sites are my office and then my home. Okay. At different addresses. Okay. So I've already got it backed up, but still in the back of my mind. Okay. I might give a load of my memory cards, or I might give it to you. I say, Mark, do you want to use these cards? And you'll say, it's all right to delete everything. And how often do I say to you, absolutely fine. But how often do I say to you, Mark, if you've got enough images to carry on doing the shoot that you're going to do now, then don't delete anything that's on that card. Just carry on shooting.
I mean, I have to say, I do. We're different. I don't like doing that. So if let's say I've shot a wedding, and I get home that day, or maybe the day, I've gotten backed up, whatever, and we've done all these things about where the cards are gone. But I like to download them either on the day or maybe the next day. Download them, I then back it up, I then delete the card. So then it's clear for the next day. Yeah, I do prefer doing that. Now, it's only really with weddings I do that. Well, no, I do it whenever I've done. When I've done if I've done a day's work of shooting in the studio, I tend to download after every session. I'll probably keep the session on the card there, and then I'll go through it at the end of the day. And when I know they're all on there, I'll then make sure they're backed up, and then I'll delete the card. So again, they're clean and ready for the next time. I much prefer doing that than what you've done. Now, I said that, but recently I think I gave you a card with some work on, and it had a previous wedding on, and I really didn't like doing that. So I much prefer coming to that wedding or that day with a clean card. So it's all
So the way that you're doing it is there's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay. It's just a process that you follow. That's part of your workflow. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have our own workflow. But I think what I'm trying to say is that the theme of this topic here is, isn't it really fearful? I think do we all get? I want to know if all photographers get nervous when it comes to deleting and formatting.
Well, I think
so.
Of course, there is.
You have to, don't you?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the things I do as well, if I've got several families coming in on the studio a day, when I'm downloading it onto my drive, I will on the card I will change the name of the folder. So you got the DCI-M in, and then it's Canon 100 whatever it is, right? So I'll change that Canon 100 whatever it is to the name of the family and the session number and possibly the date, and then drag that folder across to my drive. So that when I put that card back in my camera, the camera can't read those photos. Right.
You see, now you know I don't like this.
I know you don't like this, but the reason I do that is because then if I then go the next day, and let's say I haven't formatted the card for any reason, and let's say it says no images on there, but I know there are images on that card, right? I know the camera can't read them. That means I've downloaded them because I've changed the name of the folder, so I can just delete them, and I'm
yeah, okay, right. That's fine. It's your workflow, and I fully understand that. Okay, but what I don't like that you do, and I've spoken to you many times.
Yeah, I know you don't like it, but I don't.
Is that you mess around with your SD cards, basically? Okay, now you may not call it messing around.
No, I don't.
I call it messing around with it. Okay, and basically, just to explain, okay, what Mark will do is he has an SD card, and he'll create folders on his own folders on that SD card.
Well, I rename the folder that the camera's created for that shoot.
Right. Okay. And that does make sense. Okay. However, I won't do that. I will do nothing to a memory card ever. Okay. With the risk that I don't want to do anything where it's reformatted accidentally or it won't read or whatever. It's because I renamed something. I did something. I put something on a card. My thing is I shoot on a memory card. Now that memory card could be an 8 gig memory card. It could be 64 gig. It could be a 256 gig memory card. It doesn't matter. I will never do anything to it. I will just shoot and shoot and shoot on that card. Okay. And if I've done a shoot, let's say I did a shoot last Friday, then I did another shoot on Saturday, and I know I've got more than enough pictures, right? And enough files left to be able to shoot. I'll carry on shooting on that card. And then let's say I've got another shoot tomorrow, and I know the shoot tomorrow I'm only going to be shooting probably maybe, I don't know, 500 images, but on my memory card on my camera, it still says I've got 7,000 images left. I'm just going to carry on shooting on that card. I'm not going to create another folder. I'm not going to move anything. I'm just going to leave everything on there. Okay. Because I don't want to mess around with the card. So what I do with my cards is I will put them into the camera. Okay. And once I've done the shoot, I'll take them out. I'll put them into my laptop, download them. They come out, and then they'll either go back in the camera or they'll go into a little case. Nothing that, I don't faff around with it and rename files, right?
Well, there's no faffing. Hang on.
Because I'm fearful. No, you're not. You're not doing anything wrong. What I'm saying is I don't do that because I don't feel comfortable doing that. And when
backed up on the second card,
even though it's backed up, I'm still in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, my stuff's been. I do the same as you every single time. Okay, all of the stuff that we shoot, it's backed up.
Yeah. On
that day or that night.
Yeah.
Very, very occasionally, if I'm back very, very late, I will do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say we've done a wedding and it's a Saturday. On first thing I do is I'll get up early on a Sunday and I'll back them up. Okay. However, the one thing I do know is I've got those cards and I'm about to back them up, but the backup cards of the cards I've got are perhaps with you. Okay, so they're miles away. So I know, right, that I haven't backed them up, but I know Mark's got them. So that's my peace of mind.
Yeah.
They're backed up straight away. And as soon as I've backed them up, I take the cards out and I put them back in the camera, or I put them in a box, but I don't delete and format at that point. I will get the cards,
why?
Put them into my camera and say, right, okay, I've got another shoot today. how many pictures am I going to shoot? 1,000. And I look at how many pictures I've got left on my card, and I've got 5,000 I can still shoot.
Yeah.
So just in case, why delete anything? Because you might go to your files that you've backed up. You try and open them. You think, oh, there's a bit of a problem here, and you might find that you've not actually downloaded all of the files. You thought you downloaded all the files, but in actual fact, there was still another batch that you hadn't downloaded that's still on your memory card.
But how could you not downloaded all the files? So
I bet you, I've done it.
Yeah, and this is where the changing of the folder comes in, right?
Because I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know.
I just don't feel comfortable with it.
I know. So if you know you backed everything up, the other thing to do, by the way, is, and I do this sometimes as well, is I'll check how many images are on the card. So there's a folder, and then I'll check the amount of images that I've just backed up on.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And generally, if it's 98 on one and 98 on the other, you know you've done it. And at that point, you know you've downloaded it, you know you backed it up to your card. Delete it there and then. Delete it off the card there and then. So then you don't have to make that decision when you're in the field and going, oh no, did I actually back this one up? Because you know you backed it up. And it stops that indecision.
I know, that's right. Yeah. Now I'm going to read off an article that I did some research, and I'm going to find where it was. It was a Rockbook camera. Okay. And their slogan is "Great photography begins here." And I came across a few articles, but this was my favorite one. And it says when you want to erase your cards, it says first off you've got the option of plain old erasing. It says most cameras have an erase all button right on the back of it. It is marked with a little icon of a trash can. From there, all you need to do is just go into playback mode and delete them all. Okay.
Yeah.
It says there are a few drawbacks to this method, though. It says by erase all, the camera is not really deleting the pictures. It is just telling the camera that there is room on the card to save pictures, allowing the camera simply to overwrite the existing files.
Oh, okay.
Since each picture file is slightly different size, it is not a perfect overwrite. As you erase and delete repeatedly again, these imperfect overwrites can eventually cause file errors that can cause you to lose individual pictures or even entire cards worth of pictures.
I have heard of that.
So it says, how do you avoid doing this? Now, this is where my problem is you cannot trust a memory card 100%. Okay, 100. You cannot.
No, you can't.
Okay, you just can't. And it doesn't matter what sort of card that you've got. It doesn't matter if it's an XQD card or a super duper, will never fail under any conditions. Okay, because there is every chance that they could do. Which is why you should always have a camera that's got two cards, and every shoot you do, you should be backing up. Okay, now so it says here. Formatting. It says now formatting a card is like bleaching a towel instead of just rinsing it out. It says while you get most of the dirt out of the towel when you run some water through it, it is not completely clean. Bleach a towel and it will be super clean. Now, I've never thought of that, so I'm not going to use the word format anymore. I'm going to say, have you bleached the card?
No, don't use the word bleach. I mean, have you stuck it in the washing machine? Maybe that's
Okay, so basically it goes on to say how you format your card. I like the way Nikon did it because it was you press two buttons simultaneously that are on your camera body. You don't need to go into the menu to do that. Okay, and I think that's a really good way of doing it. You can't just do it with one button. You have to press two buttons for a few seconds at the same time. So it's impossible to do accidentally. Okay, and it says you can format or possibly initialize depending on the brand of the camera. So remember that format and initialize are exactly the same things.
Yeah.
So it says it's a good idea to format your memory card occasionally to prevent file errors from building up. You may also want to format when you buy a new card or when you switch a card from one camera to another, especially if the cameras are different brands. So as well as clearing the card, formatting sets the card up for your camera's particular file structure for storing the pictures. A formatted memory card is a healthy memory card, and a healthy memory card means you are less likely to lose pictures. So I want to just go on for that because I was saying that I don't like deleting pictures off my memory cards. And I know they're always backed up, but once the memory card gets to a point where I can't get any more images on there, that's when I'll delete it. And whenever I delete it, I will always reformat it.
Always.
When that card has got 0 files, I've not just erased them. They have been the cards have been reformatted. And it's nice to know that those memory cards are a healthy memory card now.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Bleaching is healthy, Mark.
Oh, that's not a slogan. That's not a slogan.
So, as all the photographers out there, what are you doing? Do you get nervous when you're deleting and formatting your cards? Remember, if you do delete images, and I do believe even if you format cards, you still can recover your files or some files. It's not 100% guaranteed.
It's never 100%, but it can be done. It can be done.
So, if you accidentally delete your images off your card, don't panic. Okay, don't panic in the first instance. Panic a little bit. Okay, but don't panic too much. Okay, and go and find a file recovery software program.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of them are free. You can get those online, and the chances are you will recover a lot of your files.
Yeah.
So odds law would be the ones that you don't really need, that you recovered, that were shot 6 years ago, that are on there, but the ones that you wanted to recover that you shot last week aren't on there for some reason.
There is no rhyme or reason to it, is there? It's kind of crazy.
That's right. Yeah.
But and as you know, we're massive proponents of like backing up. You got 2 card slots in your camera, record onto both cards, and that just gives you that little bit of extra security when you download them onto your computer, onto your hard drive, back them up onto another hard drive.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's the best thing to do.
Okay, I think that's it. Be really interesting to know what workflow you guys have got.
Yes, absolutely. Do comment.
I really do hope some of you photographers are thinking, yes, that's how I feel. I never know, do I delete it?
Wishing anxiety onto our listeners. Come on.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Mark, we are done to Patreon shout-outs.
Okay, so we have Amara Zainab, Craig Chuck, Rob Percy, Frank Case, Carl Sherville, and Nick Payne.
Good stuff. Guys, thank you for listening. Please keep supporting the show, and we will see you the next episode.
Bye for now, guys.
Cheers.